Going on. I want to do things a little different today and first talk about two words that I feel are very overused in DeFi, and then also talk about some changes to the channel. One really big change in particular. So let's talk about this. First is FUD. Let's talk about FUD. When we look at this, we look in the definition, of course, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's been shortened to FUD. And this says it's a propagandic tactic used in sales, marketing, public relations, politics, polling, and cults. That's funny that they added cults in there. And it says FUD is generally a strategy to influence perception by disseminating negative and dubious or false information, and a manifestation of the appeal to fear. So, that being said, if owners are kicking you out of groups, if they're doing things because you just want to know general investment questions, they're kicking you out because of FUD, they're wrong. Like, FUD is not, if you're just asking for general information, and even though that might not be comfortable to them because they're trying to either hide something or they don't know, sometimes I've run into these owners and they had somebody else build the DApp and they honestly have no idea. So any questions are kind of a confrontation to them, and they think you're just trying to spread FUD. It's all FUD, and all these guys that are like, if you're asking questions, stop spreading FUD and blah, 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 whatever, I don't care. If owners are not open about what's happening, that's a big red flag. It's not about FUD. We're talking about people investing their money in their applications. And if they're not willing to answer and be transparent about the information that you want to know, then they don't deserve your money. If they're going to be confrontational about it, they don't deserve your money. This is all about, removing emotion out of this. And when they get angry and it creates all this drama, that does not remove emotion out of your investments. So yeah, if I can say one thing, if they call you, for spreading FUD because you're just wanting information, don't make them, don't feel bad about that. You're just trying to be smart with your investments on how you can make money, because that's what you're wanting to do, is make money. It's not about, appeasing some group that, is questionably a cult. And I'm not pointing out any particular group here, guys. Something might come to mind, but I don't care. I mean, we've seen so many groups where there's just this rabid sense of loyalty that they make names for themselves or whatever. But I honestly don't care. I'm not here to join a club. I'm here to make money on my investment. And, if they want to kick me out of their groups or whatever, that's fine. But I'm not here to join a club, and that's what I'm not going to do. And if I want information, I'm going to ask for the information. If they kick me out for asking that, then they kick me out, and that's a big red flag, and I'll move on. So another thing about that with information, this has happened several times over the last few months, where people say, oh, well, you should just get on AMA with the owner and ask these questions. I'm sure they'll answer you. It's like, yes, I'm willing to do that. I try to organize AMAs with owners and things like that. A lot of them kind of ignore me, but and I've thought about this before. If owners are so transparent, why does it take a YouTuber to go on and try to confront them about these hard questions? Why does it take that to get any information out of them? Why are they not open and honest about what's going on? I watched a video yesterday on Celsius, and it was talking about, the owner of Celsius and how, people put their money in, and he said that this is the way, this protocol was making money. And it turned out that those mechanisms he was using was actually losing money. Since it's all like kind of heading downhill now on Celsius, and people are just, getting taken to the cleaners on that thing. It's just a point that it just seems like people are not learning from what's happened in the past on all these applications, with the Terra Luna thing happening, and Celsius, and I can't remember the other one back earlier this last winter, where they had, their financial officer. He was actually in real life, had some fraud charges against him. All this stuff is not transparent in the background. So if they're not willing to share that information with you, and they call you a fudder for just requesting information that any investor should has a right to ask, then that's a big red flag. Yeah, that's just one thing. So yes, FUD, I think it's overused. Obviously there are people that jump into groups and that they're paid by somebody else or something, and they're there just to try to destroy the group or bring people away from the group. I think we saw this a lot. A good FUD thing that was happening a little while ago was with the crops farmer and I'm trying to think of the name. Anyway, they went to Hayes Crypto and they started this whole thing about, they're creating this whole thing that crops farmer was gonna rug pull and all this stuff, and they had no information that was actually going to happen. But they only picked on specifically on crops farmer. That was a lot of FUD that was going on. And I'm not saying crops farmer is wonderful and they're not going to do anything in the future or anything, but that was just a campaign to try to build up their own miner. So yeah, it's kind of warfare in DeFi between dApps, and people get so entrenched into these clubs that they defend them with everything they have. And I think if you are doing more in investigation and trying to understand all the risks involved, then you're not as emotionally tied. You're understanding that you're trying to get out your initial investment as soon as possible, and then you're trying to build income based off of what's left over. If you're focused on that, then what the community is, yes, there is a sense of community in some of these things, but that is not the reason you're there, is to make buddies. I mean, yes, it's a good offshoot of it, but you're there to make money, and that is the main reason you're in these investments. And if owners lie to you or are deceptive in any way, that's a big red flag to obviously get your initial out as fast as possible, but take steps to protect your investment, because things can go down really quick. I mean, we have people that can't withdraw from Celsius because they just stopped withdrawals. So a lot of people thought they were safe in that thing, and they thought that this thing was going to last for a long time, and then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they can't withdraw. So the question is, how certain are you that the owner of the dApp that you're in would not do something like that? Just stop withdrawals. You just have to ask yourself those questions. It's not about the community. It's not about the club that's built around it. But these are investments, and you should be emotionally detached from them. It's just the basic principle of do your own research. And if in that research you have a question, and having that question is, makes them uncomfortable or angry or something like that, that's a huge red flag. The next one is rug pull. There's lots of dApps that have gone under. Obviously there are some that are rug pulls, Baked Cats being the most recent one. That was definitely a rug pull because the owner, basically shut things down. Here it talks about in cryptocurrency is a fraud scheme where anonymous founders trick people into investing money for a cryptocurrency project, which is, then abandoned. Obviously, Baked Cats, they just ramped up the taxes and killed the front end of the site, and that's obviously a rug pull. Back in the ROI days, there were tons and tons of those things. The balance went to zero, and then people yelled rug pull, and they're not rug pulls if they're an ROI dApp, and the contract runs its course. People put in, and then that balance is run down to zero. That's not a rug pull. unless you have evidence that the owner went in there and just, yanked everything out of it, basically that the DApp goes to zero. I mean, if something is based on Ponzi-nomics, the risk there is that the balance could go to zero, based on the economic model that the owner put in place. And if it goes to zero just naturally, that's not a rug pull. If it just goes to zero naturally, it's a failed project. These things are basically like mini startups, and a lot of them are going to fail. A majority of them are going to fail. So be aware of that when you get so attached to these things, that they're just ideas that these people came up with, and they could, fail, and they can fail horribly and very quickly. But it doesn't mean that they're, a rug pull, that the owner, meant anything bad by it or anything like that. But there's still that risk there. So I think after thinking of these two words, FUD and rug pull, there's a lot of people that think that because I'm critical of dApps, that I'm spreading FUD, that I think everything's going to rug pull and everybody's dishonest, blah, 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 blah. No, what I'm trying to do is say, hey, these are the dApps out there, and these are the risks involved in getting those dApps. I'm not saying that they're a bad idea. I'm not saying that you shouldn't touch them. Some of them might do very well. But there are risks involved, and I'm going to point out all of those risks. I'm not going to beat around the bush and, say they're all amazing and try to get everybody's referral money and stuff like that, because that is not fair to, my subscribers. I'm not going to, say, hey, this thing's awesome and wonderful. Don't look at all the little, the cracks it might have that could break this thing apart. Don't look at that stuff. Look at all the wonderful stuff, and we're all going to be millionaires and it's going to be wonderful. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to try to find out everything I can about them. Obviously I can't catch everything, but, I'm not going to sit here and shill all this stuff and be like, everything's wonderful. I mean, there's lots of great developers out there. There's a lot of good things going on. But even if they are good, they could fail. I mean, these are just ideas, and things can fall apart, and it's nothing against the owners, and I think a lot of people get angry, and then owners get defensive and stuff when things start sliding downhill. But people need to realize that these were high risk investments in the first place, and they're ideas of regular people on how to make something good. Obviously there's bad ones that are just obvious scams, but so yeah, those are the two words. So that being said, guys, I've taken a few days. I've been thinking about things about my channel and things like that. And with that, I'm going to change things up. And I've been thinking a lot about, why I have my channel, what I'm doing, am I doing anything for the DeFi community? Because that's important to me. I mean, there's so many YouTubers out there that you look in the description of their videos and it's just link after link after link of referrals, and it's just so obvious that that's all they're doing is trying to get referral money. That's all they're doing. And it tends to skew perception of dApps. And when you have YouTuber after YouTuber after YouTuber shilling these same things, and what that does is it creates this perception of, it's FOMO for a lot of people. You get these new investors and they see these YouTubers saying, hey, this thing's great, it's wonderful, look, I'm putting a bunch of money into these things and we're all going to get rich and blah, blah, blah. But they're not doing the due diligence of going back there and say, this looks promising, but here are the risks behind the scenes. This is what might happen to your investment. This is what could happen. I feel like it's not fair, doing that. It's just not fair when people just say, follow the marketing script, basically, reading off the website and the FAQs that, they throw out there, instead of really digging in, asking the questions and presenting those things to their audience. I don't think it's fair to users, honestly. So that being said, guys, my channel here, you can see, it's DeFi investment information. I'm not going to do DeFi investment shilling or promotion. This is going to be information. And that being said, I am discontinuing all referral links. I'm not doing any more referrals. I think I've gotten paid twice, in all the 100 and something videos that I've done. So I'm, even if, it doesn't matter about that, I'm not even gonna consider being paid. I'm mainly focused on two things. One is building my own dApp, and possibly I've got ideas for more, and trying to make them as sustainable as possible. And when I do videos on those, I'm going to also share the risks. This isn't going to just be, pile into my dApp and it's going to be wonderful and we're all going to be rich, because like I said, these are all startups, and some will make it, and the majority of these things are not going to make it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, go back a year and look at all the DeFi applications that are still around from a year. There are very, very, very few. My dApps, I'm going to be focusing on those, and then I'm going to go full on into Rugly, because I have a lot of people asking, hey, what about this dApp, or what about this dApp? I'd rather just list it out in Rugly. People can access that list. I'm going to do a lot of work on that site over the next few weeks, and I've got other ideas around that. So those are the two things I'm going to really focus on. I'll do some videos here and there of some dApps that I find interesting, but I'm not going to do them for referrals. I'm not going to do them for any payment from the owners. If it's a dApp that you want reviewed, it's got to be something different, because these things that are the same over and over and over again, I'm not going to throw up there. So anyway, guys, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the direction of the channel. Tell me what you think of FUD and rug pull. What are your thoughts around that? Now, I understand that some people might be angry about this because they feel like I'm singling somebody out, and I'm not. There's so many dApps out there that have had questionable transparency, that get mad at people for asking questions. I'm not singling anybody out at all, because there have been so many. I'm not singling out any YouTube channels or anything, but there are just so many that are there to promote and get referrals, and that's all they're doing. They're not, it should be 40% promotion and 60% warnings and risks and problems it could have. It's easy to find all the information on like how much you can make, but there's not a lot of information to find what could fail and what could happen. Figuring out what your risk factors are one of the biggest parts of making money in any investment. Guys, tell me what you think. Go ahead and like the video if you like it. Hit subscribe if you want to subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.